very much, Peter and Kent. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, fellow candidates. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Now, look, Wellington has had a pretty good 3 years despite the global financial turbulence. However, there are issues facing Wellington, particularly issues around affordability. Internationally, we are all in the market for talent. Every city in the world is trying to attract smart people to come and work in their cities. And those sorts of people choose where they want to live. And they choose cities based on the quality of life. You don't put your hand up if you don't have the roads and the pipes and everything else that makes a city work. But the thing that makes a difference is quality of life. And Wellington has the best quality of life in New Zealand, as voted by Wellingtonians in surveys we do every year. 92% of you believe that. And our quality of life is based on the fact that we're the arts and cultural capital, that we're the events capital, as of the other night we're the culinary capital. Of course, our compact form, our tolerance, our diversity, our heritage, and of course our continued investment in our infrastructure. So what have we done for the last 3 years? We've done quite a lot, and I don't want to take up all of my 10 minutes talking, so I'll just run through some of the highlights. In the economic area, we've put in a regional bid to government as part of trying to get ultra-fast broadband rolled out in this region as part of the first tranche of government funding. The Cuisine School was announced the other night. We continue to work on long-haul flights, and we've set up a health centre of excellence, which is a collaboration between Otago, Victoria University, the Milligan Institute and Capital and Coast Health. It's worth multi-millions of dollars. In the arts area, the art gallery's been strengthened, refurbished, extended, and it's reopened, and it's stunning. We've seen more sculpture, we've got Tuipaniki working incredibly well, and we're working on a regional amenities fund to make sure that the arts continues to be sustainably funded from the whole region rather than just Wellington City. In the social area, we're continuing to work on the refurbishment and strengthening of our social housing in the city. The $220 million grant we got from government. We finished the first block of social housing. We're halfway through the second one, and there's 3, 4 and 5 going to start next year. That's a 15-year program and a significant amount of money, a significant amount of work in our local economy. We've also set the policy direction for our libraries, pools and recreation centres for the next 10 years. In the environment area, we've delivered on the 3 parks, inner city parks refurbished, with the last one, the refurbishment of Cobblestone Park, being opened recently. We've started the trees that will go down to the stadium in time for Rugby World Cup, and that's happening now. We've adopted a climate change action plan, and we've invested heavily in Zealand Air and Carter Observatory. And in the transport area, we're currently investing in strengthening the Golden Mile to make sure that reliability of public transport, which is the #1 thing that people say is important about public transport. Yes, it has to be clean, it has to be safe, it has to be affordable, it has to be flexible, but #1, it has to be reliable. And that's what we're doing by putting the public transport back through Manners Mall. What are the big issues facing Wellington for the next 3 years and going on? There are clearly opportunities, but there are challenges. And the first challenge is Auckland. Auckland's going to be the biggest city in Australasia. 1.4 million people. Second biggest city is Brisbane, which is 1.2 million people. It's going to have a budget of $3.2 billion a year, $28 billion asset base, but it has an infrastructure deficit, and it's hungry for government funds. And now we've seen the devastation of what's happened in Christchurch. They're now talking $4 billion. Having been there on Tuesday this week, it's going to be more than that. What you need in Wellington is a strong voice to make sure that Wellington's voice isn't lost in the rush for some funding support from government, both Canterbury and from Auckland. And I do have those connections at the highest echelons of government, and you need that voice to make sure that Wellington's voice isn't heard, isn't lost. The second issue is the issue of governance for this region. It is appropriate to ask the question, one, because there are 9 TLAs in this region currently, 9 authorities, with a population a third the size of what Auckland's will be. And Rodney Hyde, the Minister of Local Government, has a cabinet minute that he has to review the rest of New Zealand in light of the Auckland decision. And I think hopefully I've convinced you that the region has to talk with one voice if we're going to be heard up on the hill. We need to decide as a region what governance we want. And that's something that we should decide with our communities and take our decision to the government and not have something imposed upon us. To date, we've had PricewaterhouseCoopers do a piece of work that just looked and talked to a huge range of stakeholders. Are there any issues with what's happening now? That report's due in a couple of weeks' time, but it'll be up to the next council, all of the 9 councils, to decide if there are issues that are substantive enough to actually engage with our communities and decide what you want going forward. Sustainability of rates is a major issue. I've been around a long time. The reality is there hasn't been a single year in all that time when we've gone to public meetings as part of our budget when people haven't asked for more things. It may be something simple like potholes, it may be more planting, it may be more substantive like a new indoor community sports centre or pools or artificial turfs. People always want something. They don't want their rates to go up to help pay for it. They don't want us to sell anything. And it's got to the stage where we've cut and cut and cut in terms of trying to deliver while keeping the rates as low as we can. We can't keep doing that. So the reality is there new ways of funding things? Now, Wellington City has shown leadership. It was done by the management team. We had a masterclass from around the country looking at different ways and new ways of funding. We don't know whether it will work in New Zealand. We're working now with central government to see if it will work. But the main thing is we have to look for new ways, because what isn't out in the public domain yet, and it will be after next week when we debate it, is that the weather tightness issue. We currently are holding 18 million in our provisions. With this new deal that government has brokered, the cost to Wellington ratepayers is going to be the best case scenario, it's going to be 64 million, and the worst case scenario is going to be about 118. Now the only bit that's on the budget at the moment is 18, and that's something. We're going to have to learn to prioritise. We can't afford everything, so we need to have those discussions. Jobs. By the end of 2012 we're going to have 100,000 square metres of vacant office space in our city. Mainly because Telecom's going to empty 7 B and C grade buildings in our city. The new ID building on Bunny Street is going to empty 9 buildings, and they're going to sit there. That's enough for 8,000 workers. Now some of them will be converted, hopefully, to high quality apartments, but we need to grow the economy. And I believe that our future is in IT. We have very smart, creative IT people in Wellington. We need to encourage them to grow their businesses and become those export businesses. But to do that, we need ultra-fast broadband to the whole region, to the whole city, of course, but to the whole region. And that's why we've put together this regional bid to government, and we're very hopeful of being one of the first cities to have it rolled out. Climate change, we've adopted a action plan. We're delivering on that. It's about reducing our own corporation energy costs, because that makes sense, because it flows through to less cost to you as ratepayers. We've put aside some money for energy efficiency grants to residents and to businesses, and as of the end of September we see the first tranche of some fully electric cars coming to New Zealand, and they're coming to Wellington. And it's a public-private partnership between ourselves, Meridian and Mitsubishi in the first instance, and next year it'll be with Nissan. And we're showing leadership by having those on a lease basis to show Wellingtonians just how good they are during their pilot phase. They charge overnight with a 3-pin plug. They're absolutely stunning, because I've trialled one of them. The last issue is transport. We are having invested in our region $2 billion on our roading system by central government from the airport through to Peka Peka. Whereas a region spending $3 billion with government support on heavy rail, we're investing more in walking and cycling. What we haven't got is the capacity in our roading network to get from the railway station to the airport and the railway station and to the hospital. And we need to create that capacity for the future, whatever rapid transport system that this city will ultimately have.
1 minute.
The first thing is that you've got to get that in place first. And I think that is important. There is a feasibility going to be done on light rail, and that is due to be reported back at the end of 2013. So can I just finish off by saying I've had a marvellous time as your mayor. It's the best job in New Zealand, I believe. I think it's the best job in the world, but it's certainly the best job in New Zealand. I believe I've got the proven experience, the decision-making, the leadership skills, and I ask for your support, and I'd be honoured to serve you for another 3 years. Thank you very much.